there's a lot of different areas that it does cover, but when you start looking at value, it's about driving down those KPIs, but it's also about bringing FTE value in terms of inefficiencies and waste that span the entire operation.
Hi, I'm Steve Plum, Editor-in-Chief of SME Media. I'm here today at Manufacturing Technology Series East in Springfield, Massachusetts. I'm pleased to be joined here by Elio Trolio from Rockwell Automation, Director of Value Consulting. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for having us.
So tell us a little bit about Rockwell.
Yeah, so we're a large industrial automation company. You guys are probably familiar with us. Been in plant floors worldwide, a $9 billion automation company out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and main player in hardware controls on the shop floor, but also expansion into software technologies that manage shop floor operations.
So you were talking today about smart manufacturing, and a lot of definitions about the smart manufacturing, Industry 4.0, automation, whether AI, right. ERP systems, data analytics. How do you define smart manufacturing?
Yeah, I think it's about bringing in IT technologies that enable manufacturers in their operating technology space to essentially digitize a lot of their operations and bring a lot of execution to the forefront for manufacturing leaders to actually start to have real-time visibility of a lot of the activities that are happening in their shop floor operations. And it's, to me, standard enterprise applications like ERP, MES have been in place for quite some time, but still there's quite a bit of immaturity in the space of these enterprise applications, as well as some advanced technologies when you start looking at the entire operations from an IoT perspective. So when we talk about smart manufacturing, it's about bringing that digital thread throughout the plant floor from the top floor and really synchronizing a lot of the activities so that operation leaders can actually run their plants more efficiently, add a lot of value to their equipment and assets and their people and their processes, and actually be able to grow in the technology stack that represents smart manufacturing.
So now that we've defined it, a lot of companies just implement before they really have thought out the whole process and what the value is.
Right.
What is the value of smart manufacturing?
I mean, it's all about driving efficiencies in production operations. It can start with some common KPIs and hard costs, like things like how do I, lean out inventory because I got better visibility of where the material is throughout the entire production cycle, to better performance and quality control because I have more digitized recordings and efforts to drive down scrap and waste because I have stronger rigor in my procedures, to being able to bring that data to plant leaders and real-time visibility on reporting and analytics so they can make better decisions. So there's a lot of different areas that it does cover, but when you start looking at value, it's about driving down those KPIs, but it's also about bringing FTE value in terms of inefficiencies and waste that span the entire operations.
Well, you touched on this a little bit, but if you could elaborate a little bit more on the estimating the value of smart manufacturing.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times we can work with companies to really understand some of their key cost drivers, key targets. And we talk about things like inventory turns. We want to have higher turns so we have more efficiencies with inventory. Things like quality we talked about, even delivery performance. We look at those things and see how does the smart technology streamline a lot of these downstream activities to prevent errors and additional costs, right? But it's also about the people and the time and the value add that we can bring to them. I always say, like, manufacturers look at material flow and optimization material flow, but they don't really look at information flow. And that's where we come into play with smart manufacturing technologies. How do we streamline information flow to drive more efficiencies, not only to the people, but to the plant performance?
So when you talk about ROI, especially with the equipment,
sure.
There's a set way. Okay, you made this huge purchase up front, and you amortize it over certain months, years, and you can see what the payback period is. Is it the same when you're talking about software, or
a little different because it's about realizing that value over time, and a lot of times we we want to estimate the improvements based on what we see our customers actually achieve, but also in terms of the maturity of that particular customer's environment and how well can they apply it to their people and processes to enable that technology stack to drive efficiencies. So we always take a conservative approach. So we want to quantify what we think we can reduce. Say like they're spending 3 to 4 or 5 extra hours each day doing these non-value add activities. We kind of take a conservative approach. How much can we bring back time to their day, but also try to figure out over time, the maturity of the adoption, we start to apply a realization rate. So we start out usually like a third, and then we go to 50 to 75 to 100% over multiple years, because it takes time for organizations to transform the way they do things.
The early adopters for smart manufacturing, naturally were some of the larger companies
Sure.
out there, but it's starting to spread throughout mid-size and smaller companies. First of all, is there a difference in implementation and measurement of that? And perhaps if you can give an example, talking about quantifying it.
Yeah. I mean, what's interesting is sometimes we go to small and medium size, and actually that's where Plex was born, out of small and medium size tier supply base in terms of discrete manufacturers. And what we typically find is they don't really have the data to even provide us to be able to measure the benefits, because they don't have a system in place to actually track what those costs are. So they do a lot of estimating themselves today. But we do see tremendous improvements and value to these small to medium-sized businesses on the KPIs, and also even on the IT side, because they don't have the staff members to maintain these systems, invest in them, understand these technologies, and really a lot of times they're hiring third-party companies to manage those systems. Worked with a company down in southern Connecticut, real small operation, pump manufacturer. They do assembly work. They get the pumps from their sister company in Germany, but basically they do some configuration of the builds. They got 3 hourly employees, and you would think, why would they need an MES or ERP system? Well, there's a lot of inefficiencies in the warehouse, a lot of inefficiencies in the delivery, there's a lot of inefficiencies in planning and scheduling, and we really put together a good, sound value proposition. Their executive team, I mean, a small ownership, a couple individuals or so, really enjoyed that experience to really see how technology could improve their business, and they're getting close to full rollout. We're excited to follow up on that.
So I know it depends on company by company, industry by industry a little bit, but in general, where is the manufacturing in terms of rolling out smart manufacturing, especially on the small and mid-sized companies? And further, where are they in terms of realizing the value, estimating the value, and proving it out?
Sure. So we always talk about the maturity roadmap of everything from level 1 to level 5, and we typically see companies somewhere like in the level 2, 2.5 range, sometimes 1.5. But the small and medium-sized companies typically are on that lower end of the spectrum, and it has to be very pragmatic because they don't have the very large deep pockets like large enterprise multi-billion-dollar companies do. And so we have to be pragmatic and have real focused projects that give tangible returns, and then help them incrementally add more technology as they grow, so they can hit call it the smart manufacturing nirvana stage of level 5. So,
all right, well, great. Thanks for coming.
thank you, Steve. Nice to talk to you.